Hello, welcome to Unboxing Alice, the YouTube channel with that purple fox that unboxes things. I'm of course Alistair Frost, and we are going to start the month of April with Gateway Furmeet. Ooh, ah. Yeah, Gateway Furmeet was like a few weeks ago, but yeah, we're gonna cover it now, and I'm gonna cover it to the best of my ability. I actually did write down like notes and a cheat sheet when prepping for this video, but I can't use them in the video because I can't see them. So we're gonna kind of go with that, and hopefully I'll cover most of the things. And yeah, oh, also, this is probably gonna flop because right before I started shooting, that thread broke and I didn't have time to repair it. So yeah, this hair might kind of just flop in my face every once in a while. Just we're gonna deal with that. So Gateway Furmeet was March 15th through 17th of this year, and I actually went down a day early like I usually do. It's really advantageous to go down to cons early if you can. In part, you kind of avoid a lot of like traffic. It'll depend on where the con is. If you're going to like MFF or Anthrocon, those are in big cities anyway, so there's going to be a lot of traffic. But you won't be fighting as many con goers because there just aren't as many that can make it to like the Friday. So yeah, I definitely do that. I'm also I was a more active member of the team this year, so I wanted to go down and do a lot of helping and all of that. So I of course left here late because I'm me, and I wanted to go down to Belleville to get my popcorn first. And I got to the popcorn shop, and that's when I realized, like right when I parked, I realized I didn't have my popcorn tin. I left it here in Springfield. I was like, are you kidding me? So I had to buy a new tin, which was $55, but that's okay. Next time I go down, I will fill up 2 tins. I'm good. I turned this into a positive. I turned this into a positive. So after Belleville, I went to Maryland Heights. This convention takes place in Westport Plaza, like it has for the past several years. So I got there around 3 because Belleville is in Illinois and Maryland Heights is in Missouri, so it's about a 45-minute drive between the two. So I got there around 3 and I checked in and put my stuff away, did my parking and all of that. Started at 3:30, like actually started helping and working at 3:30. The first thing I did, I think, was like fold like 200 combo slits. We had like little tiny paper ones. The con schedule was also on Sked. Just keeps everything all nice and neat and tidy, as opposed to in the past I would just look at all the panels I wanted to go to and I would manually enter their times into my phone. So you don't really have to do that anymore. So but we did have the paper con book list just in case for people who might not have smartphones and don't have access to the app, or just people who want to carry around a paper guide or whatever, because I actually still do like carrying those around. So I did fold a bunch of those, and it was mainly a lot of setup. So just setting up, chairs and tables and things like that in the various rooms, and I think maybe some of the AV equipment as well, though the AV team kind of does their own thing. So it was only about a couple hours, and I was done around 5:30. I went to a new restaurant in the area. The restaurant was nice. The area's a mess. Westport Plaza's been under a lot of construction for quite a few months. And I mean, one of the products of that was this new restaurant, the soda fountain. But because of all the construction, I mean, that was probably that was the suckiest part of this year. The fact that we just had so much construction around us. That has nothing to do with the con. I don't know if that has anything to do with the hotel either. I'm not sure. But there's like a nice courtyard from the hotel to a lot of like the shopping and the restaurants and everything. That's all blocked off for construction. So it kind of makes getting around a bit of a pain in the butt. If you're walking around the grounds, I mean. But I just went to the soda fountain because it was right there. I still had to walk around a bit of the construction. I'm essentially walking next to the parking lot, but they just built that there. It's a place that has like burgers and hot dogs and milkshakes and ice cream and things that you can eat if you're not lactose intolerant, unlike me. But a couple of the team members were eating. I think they split like a BLT. They were saying how good it was. I was like, oh, that looks really good. So I went and got the BLT, and they put mayo on it, so they had to remake it because I actually can't have mayo for whatever weird reason. but it was a really good BLT. And I'll show you a picture of it up here. It will have a bite taken out of it in the picture because the last time I'd eaten was like 11 a.m. I ate here in Springfield before I left, and this is now 6. So I'm really hungry. I've been going all day, and I opened up like, oh my god, this sandwich is like God, it's so amazing. I want it. I want this sandwich. And I took a bite and I was like, wait a minute, I need to take a picture for the video. So yeah, you'll see a BLT and some fries with a bite taken out of it. It's a really good sandwich though, and they do not skimp on the bacon. Oh my gosh. But after that, I spent kind of 6 to 8 unpacking because I just kind of threw my stuff in the room when I got there so I could go down and start assisting. But now I have time to unpack my stuff and get things situated and figure out, just scheduling and all of that. And then at 8, I had D&D with my Thursday group. So I'm not going to go into that or anything, just that happened. I think we ended around like 11:30, so I probably got to bed around 12:30 or 1. And this is bad life choice number 1. I learned so many things this weekend being a more active participant behind the scenes. Yeah, sleep is important, especially before you go. Obviously, if you're just an attendee, you can do whatever you want because you're on your own schedule. But yeah, that sleep will be. I learned sleep is very important. So moving on. That was Thursday night. Next is Friday. I'm getting up at 7. I told the D&D group that I kind of want to get up at 11. We went over a bit because of I think of combat. But I was like, yeah, I kind of want to go to the gym before I start working for the con. I've mentioned this in other videos for, MFF as well as GFM. I always go to the gym in the hotel, even when I'm at a convention. I just want to kind of keep up that routine. But as I was putting stuff away, I was like, it's like 1 a.m. I have to report down at 8 a.m. So I would have to go to the gym at like I have to get up at like 6 to go to the gym. I was like, I don't know if that's happening tomorrow, but maybe I can go Friday and possibly Saturday. Or I'm sorry, Friday evening or whatever, or Saturday morning and then Sunday morning. I know my days and my words and my numbers. So, but yeah, just spoiler alert, I did not go to the gym at all this weekend, and after everything I tell you, I'm sure you will understand why I didn't. But yeah, I just got up at 7, got dressed, got ready to go. Was down there at 8, and we had a big meeting with all the team members. Just talking about introducing things and what to expect and all of that. And that's when I basically clock in. When you go down there at 8, you are now on the clock. So I spent time after that going downstairs to the security office because I'm part of the security team, and we had just had a little like security meeting in that area. It was downstairs, kind of like off to the left as you go down the stairs. But that's just mainly for security. It was also first aid. I am not first aid certified right now. I used to be through work. I just haven't taken that class. I think it might have, the last time I think was before COVID. So I will definitely get on my boss about that because I would like to get CPR AED certified again. It's just a matter of scheduling and when my boss or boss's boss can get me in there. So I am not certified for that. I'm doing more security, but of course we do have some people that were certified on the team. And so after that, it was just a lot of roaming in the morning. We had, I think, panel start at 10. The opening ceremony, I believe, was at 11:30. So we had someone checking badges for the panel at 10. Quite a few of us were just kind of roaming around, making sure people weren't like lost or helping people figure out where they were going. I did go through the vendor hall probably around 10ish to just go through, make sure everything was going okay there. This was before the vendor hall was open. One vendor kind of gave me a look like, wait a minute, are we open? I was like, no, I'm a team member. I showed them badge, and we all carry radios on us, like walkie-talkies. So yeah, I was like, no, I belong here. I am not just some rando that snuck their way in the vendor hall. And there is, of course, a dealer, like a vendor team, a vendor group. But as security, we do still patrol around there to make sure everything's on the up and up. No one is, there's no theft or anything like that. So it's still a security issue. Honestly, security kind of dips their paws into every department. Because just the whole point of us is to make everyone safe and make sure people are following the rules, and that does spill over into other departments. So yeah, that's kind of what I was doing all weekend. I did go to the opening ceremony, just kind of stood around and patrolled, just not all the way to the front, just not to be super distracting, but I did go to like the sides and look around, make sure people weren't doing anything dumb. And a lot of my morning was roaming, just I think I spent a lot of time in the the vendor hall. There were artists on the outside, I think, and dealers on the inside, or something like that. I'm just gonna call it the vendor hall because I didn't know the difference. But yeah, just a lot of that. I'm sure the vendors got very tired of seeing me because I'm just wandering back and forth. But it's my job. That's what I do. I was instructed by the lead at the time to go ahead and patrol that. Patrol the basement area, which is where the main events are and the dealer's den are. There's also just this big wide open space so people can just sit and chill. There's usually games over there. I think they set up bowling, like inflatable bowling balls and like pins. I think one of those pins lasted a day before it died and deflated. They also had like Jenga and things like that. So it's just a nice area where people can chill, and there's this table that you will pass when you're coming down the stairs, and people will just put like random stuff on it. A lot of people put like candy on it. I don't know what was going on this year, but people were really fascinated with ducks, like the animal ducks. Like if you saw the movie Migration, those ducks, those ducks, like not live ducks obviously, but they were like little tiny, like my paws are too big, but like the size of the first half of my paw nail, like those tiny ducks. There were ducks about this big. They were all over the place. You will see some of them in the next video. But they were just, people were putting like ducks there. Someone had little keychains that were shaped like sea life and food, and they're just little keychains they just dumped on this table for you to take. As long as everything, what you're putting down is safe for work, we don't really care. And it's not like a home baked good or anything like that. If you're putting down candy you bought from like, Walmart or whatever, cool, whatever. But nothing like homemade, nothing like that. So, I was just walking around, making sure that, things were going well. I also checked with, other team members and volunteers. There were a set of twin women who were not guarding the door. It's a terrible choice of words. They were checking badges at the door for the vendor hall, and I'm going to shout them out right now. I'll probably bring them up later. But that is all they did all weekend. They sat at that door from 10 to probably 6. I think the vendors got a break for lunch between like 1 and 2 or something like that. But beyond that, those women sat there and didn't move. And I'm just going to give them that shout out now because it was awesome. They were amazing volunteers. They actually were our volunteers, I'm not going to say of the year, just, of the con or whatever it is. But just shout out to those two ladies. They're probably, I think they were a few years like older than me as well. So, they were, older furs, over 30, but, they were amazing. So, and it's people like that who make our jobs easier. We don't have to worry about the dealer's den because it's covered. They're there. They're making sure people who need to be there are supposed to be there, and they're keeping people who shouldn't be out, and it's great. So that was much of my morning. I think I did door for them or check badges at one point just so they could go to lunch. I didn't do a lot of breaks, which drove my lead nuts. So I didn't want, I just wanted to keep working. I wanted to keep going. There are a couple other team members that are like that where just don't take breaks. I did kind of sit like in the con ops, and I had my lunchbox, the lunchbox I take every day to work with me, or every day I'm in the office. It had like grapes and apples and, I think an extra banana and blueberries. Also had protein shakes. I really like the Atkins protein shakes, even though I learned, it took me entirely too long to realize why they made my stomach angry after I drank them is because they had milk. And I'm lactose intolerant, but I still drink them. They're not. It's not so bad that I can't drink them. So I had all that stuff in my lunch pail, and I would go into the con-ops and just sit like off to the side and eat some grapes or something. I did not go take a full lunch. I normally don't. I believe I mentioned this in other videos as well. Just part of it is I'm cheap. I want to pay for one meal, which will be dinner, so I just don't want to spend that money. The other thing is I'm just kind of used to it with my friend who I go to MFF with. He only eats one meal a day. And that's not just MFF, it's just how he lives life, I guess. He only has dinner. So when I go to MFF with him, we're only going out for one meal, and it's dinner. So I've kind of gotten into that habit of doing that. And I will say right now, kids, don't be me. Do as I say, not as I do. There is a rule at conventions. I'm sure you've heard of it if you've gone to conventions before. In case you haven't, is a 6-2-1 rule, or sometimes a 6-3-1 rule. And you need at least 6 hours of sleep, at least 2 meals. Sometimes they will say 3 meals, so that's why it's 2 or 3. 1 shower. For the love of God, shower at a convention. It wasn't too bad this year. I didn't smell too many, like, funky people. There were a few, and it's gonna happen. Even if you're not at a convention, there's some people that just don't shower, or don't realize they smell, or they might have a medical condition. So, yeah, but for love of goodness, get sleep, eat food, like actual food, not like protein shakes, and shower. But I had my breaks, but it was mainly a lot of roaming. I also got to talk to some people. There's a young woman who's there every year, young black woman, and she always goes to the POC panel. I would cover that in a minute because that was Friday night. But, we were talking, and I just met some other interesting people. And for those who I see on, like the furry sub, who are saying, oh, I'm going to my first con, I'm going by myself, how do I meet people? This is kind of how you do it. I would strongly suggest volunteering, because you will meet people. You're kind of forced to meet people that way, because you'll be working with other people. But I do suggest that, and there are a lot of other furries that will as well. So if you are going to a con alone, it may be worthwhile for you to look into volunteering at that con, because I'm willing to bet that con will appreciate it. I don't know a single con that will turn away volunteers, because they always need help, particularly us. We're a fairly small con, so we had a lot of people. There's not a lot of team members, and there weren't a ton of volunteers, unfortunately, either. So, yeah, cons always need volunteers. Definitely volunteer your time if you are comfortable with that. My first day was a lot of roaming. I will tell you right now, I didn't attend a lot of panels because I'm working. So, I didn't really get a chance to experience some of them. There are some I will tell you about because I was checking the door and I could hear. I forget my ears are up here. There we go. And there were a few I actually did attend, and one I was like participating in accidentally. So that's going to be a bit different this year. Usually I can tell you all about the panels I go to because I sit there and I absorb, and didn't do that this year because I didn't have time. But around 6 p.m. was the BIPOC panel, and we probably had about a dozen people. That's pretty common. I think the least we've had one year was like 6, and the most we've had is like 15. So no, really good turnout, and in case you do not know, BIPOC is Black Indigenous People of Color. So basically, any furry who is not of European descent. They are also called POC panels or people of color. Or that you could, FOC fur of color. And those panels can be for really anything. We can talk about, triumphs and tribulations of being a POC within the fandom or outside of the fandom, because there are a number of people, especially when race is brought up, who really shy away from that and do not want it discussed within the fandom. This is a place where we're supposed to have fun, and we're supposed to forget all of that stuff. Well, you can't, because even though you see me now dressed as a purple fox, you've seen me before, and you're going to see pictures of me. Since I couldn't suit, I had it's pictures of me. You'll see clearly I'm a black woman, and that doesn't change if I go to a convention. That doesn't change in suit, underneath this suit, I'm still black. And it's not just race. Under your suit, you're still LGBTQ. Under your suit, you're still, Muslim or Jewish or whatever it may be. Those identities don't go away. You don't necessarily have to face those struggles within the fandom, at least not as much, depends on where you are. But those are still very real situations. They're very real issues for those groups. And that's kind of what this panel is for, just to, it can be airing out grievances, it can be talking about good experiences within the fandom, but it could also just be random stuff. We talked about video games. Some person was very, very upset about one of the many endings of Baldur's Gate 3, so, which I have not started yet. Definitely want to try it. Virtually everyone I know has played it, including both of my D&D groups. There are people playing Baldur's Gate 3. I know if I buy it, I will not play anything else, and I have a ton of other games I want to finish, not to mention alphas and betas for Kickstarters and some gameplay testing. So, yeah, Baldur's Gate, I know it's great. I will get there. But in general, it's just a place for us to get together and meet other POC-fers like ourselves, because we are not common in the fandom. I believe it was for Science.com. I do not know the most recent statistic, but roughly 20% of the fandom is POC. So, not a tiny amount, but we are not the majority by any means. I'm not saying we have to be. I've been black my entire life, fun fact, in America. I'm not the majority here either, so it's not, it usually isn't a big deal unless someone makes it a big deal and someone treats you differently for who you are, but it's still nice to have those safe spaces. We went till about 6 to 7, we went from 6 to 7:30, I changed my English, which was a half an hour more than it should have, but thankfully the next panel started at 8, so they still had plenty of time to set up. After that, I need food. This is when I will stop, I will take my break, which is my lunch at 7:30 p.m., to get some food. I just went back to the soda fountain. I saw the first night they had chicken tenders, and I really wanted to try those, and they were actually pretty good. I believe I ordered to go because I wanted to eat in my, in my room and watch, God knows whatever. And the guy got crabby because apparently the lady who took my order did not tell him that it was to go, so he was like, eh. More at her, not at me. But the chicken tenders were pretty good. There was one that was like this big. I was like, what is this? What is this tiny little chicken tender? The others were a decent size though, and they did taste really good, and I just got fries along with them. Unfortunately, I can't remember if I have a picture of that or not. I might have just been really hungry and ate it, but if I have a picture, it's up here, or here. One of these two places. After that, it was the dance. I almost said dance competition. No, it was just the dance. One of the dances. They had the dances weird on the schedule this year. They were split by DJ. So those, DJ A, not the name of the DJ, I don't remember the name of the DJs, but, DJ 1 at, 8 to 9, and DJ 2 from 9 to 10, or those times are wrong, or whatever. So, it just looked like there were two different dances. They were still the same event, just two different people kind of headlining the DJ slots. So I was a door checker for that, and that went pretty smoothly. I don't think there were too many issues. There was some weirdness with the mic getting shut off, but other than that, it was a fun time. It sounds like everyone was having fun. I heard much oonce, oonce, oonce as I was sitting there checking badges for the door. But yeah, that was pretty much Friday. I don't think I did much of anything else. I can't remember. I feel like I might have sat for another panel, but I'm just gonna say I didn't because I don't remember. And I went to bed at I don't know, midnight, possibly, something like that. Wake up, roll it all over again, get up at 7, get down there by 8. Oh god, it's Saturday. Saturday is easily going to be the busiest day at any convention, because the majority of people are off. They are not in school, for sure. A lot of people don't work on the weekends, so that's when you're going to get a lot of people who don't have to work. A lot of parents and families are bringing their kids, so that's easily the busiest day for any convention. It is not GFM specific. So after our, huddle in the morning, in our security huddle in the morning, I am again roaming a bit until the first panel, which was at 10, and I believe that was like model trains or model railroads. So there was a lot of setup because they were, setting up model trains and everything, so I got to see them do that. But, I'm sitting at the door, I can kind of poke my head in and see what's going on, and, I can hear, but, I can't hear everything they're saying. But I'm there to check badges. Yep, you're good. Go have fun. Da da da. The thing is, I had to kind of pull double duty in the morning. The day before Friday, one of the security team was actually he was checking badges for the Alpine room, the same room I'm now sitting at, come Saturday. But there was no one to direct registration. Like there were people in registration registering people, but there was a line for pre-reg and a line for at the door, or yeah, at the door. And people would just show up and they obviously don't know which was which. So I think one of the security members was handling that yesterday until they got, I think, someone from registration to handle that, and so he went off to do something else. So I got up there, fast forward to, Saturday at 10 a.m., and the model train thing is going on. And I don't know where that dude went, but there's no one doing anything with, again, there are people registering people, so that's not the issue. There was no one, directing people from Reg, and it's like, oh, well. So I'm over here saying, yes, you're good, badge. Okay, did you pre-order? Okay, that line, you didn't? Okay, this line. I'm going back and forth, and I was like, okay, well, this is my life now, I guess. I'm not moving here for a while. But I was doing that, going back and forth for the model trains, as well as I believe the Stuffy panel was after that. Stuffy just is another name for plush, stuffed animals or plushies. I prefer the term plushie. But people are just bringing in their stuffed animals and treating them, which I really wanted to be a part of. Again, I figured I'd be working the whole time. I just didn't really sign up for any panels. There are maybe 4 panels I really wanted to go to. One was with BIPOC, and I was the host because my friend Tyler didn't go this year. So I actually hosted that, so yeah, I gotta be at that. And then there were like 2 others today. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's 3 other events today that I absolutely wanted to be a part of. But for, the Stuffy panel, I was afraid, I was okay with missing it, though I will try to do it next year. I have too many plush animals, and I need to get rid of some. We don't have to trade them, you can just take them, just get them out of my house. That's all I care about. But I sat there for that as well, and I think that ended at like noon. Noon was a charity auction. And normally charity auctions are on Sundays. I can kind of see them moving it to Saturday, in part because there's going to be way more people on Saturday. It was actually headed by Alkali and Pepper Coyote, and I forgot to mention them for Friday because they probably checked in Thursday, I don't know, but they were definitely active on Friday night. And I have mentioned both of them before. They are regulars at Midwest Fur Fest, particularly the charity auction, though Pepper Coyote also does music. So I absolutely love Alkali and Pepper. They are hilarious, and Alkali especially has this big, loud, booming voice, and I love it. I absolutely love him. And so they were heading the charity auction, and I was super excited, and I was like, oh, awesome. And this was one of the few events where I was like, I really want to go to this. I will work security, I'll walk around the room, make sure no one does anything stupid, but I would like to go to this event. And, if I hear something, I can just raise my hand or just yell a number or whatever, and I can bid. So I was excited to go to the auction, and, Alkali was there, Pepper Coyote showed up. They were kind of it. It was surprising because in the past, there were a number of people like team members that would work at the charity auction. Several were, they're hosting, they were working the crowd, they had runners, and there was always someone taking money and, holding the goods. So, when you pay, you can get your stuff. Apparently we were strapped for people because there was, nobody there. So the security lead had to write down, how much everything went for and who did it and their badge number and everything. I think the con chair Scooby was there to kind of help with the stuff. there were no runners at all. I just happened to be there, and I believe Jakarta was also there, another security member, and we ended up being runners. And I was like, oh my god, I just wanted to see the thing and be there for the charity auction. I'm in it. I'm actually participating in it. It's like I have to run to people and show them the things. I was like, oh my god, this is not what I was expecting, but it's really cool. And it was a very short auction. There were like maybe 12 items. The last item being a super sponsor badge for next year. So I think the auction was supposed to be an hour. It probably went 45 minutes. It was very tight. It was in, out, done. It wasn't like, well, I think Midwest Fur Fest might have gone like over 10-15 minutes, so not a big deal. I told you about Honeyville Cider Fest. It went over like 2 hours. So, not that. It was like under time. Like, whoever was in the main events hall next had plenty of time to set up. And I think it was actually Alkali again. But I was super excited for that. I didn't bid on anything, but there was a lot of really cool stuff. But yeah, the charity auction went pretty quick. And I also got a picture with Alkali and Pepper Cody, which I'll put in one of these areas. So, I was very happy about that. And after the charity auction, at this point, my other two friends had shown up, and my friend Jelly Dancer and Pink Stance had already shown up. I met them when I was doing double duty upstairs. They got into the Regiline, so I knew they were there. And then Sailor Texas and K-chan showed up later on. I was able to talk with them and kind of hang out with them a little bit. Not hang out, but just like sit and chat for a little bit, because I'm still kind of looking around. This was the basement area where there's a lot of people hanging out. So I'm talking to them, but I'm also kind of looking around, just making sure, things are still, going okay. I mainly kept up the roaming until about 3:45, and that's when I was, I decided to break, and the team lead already knew this. I really wanted to be in the fursuit picture. Unfortunately, this year, and these are two major changes, but the first change is there is no fursuit parade. There's no there's no video that I can show you because we didn't have it. We just couldn't. With all of the construction, there just weren't any viable routes that a fursuiter could go through. There were some places that were just too narrow, especially for the bigger fursuiters with like big wings or whatever. Another proposed route included like 3 flights of stairs, which I can tell you as a suitor, it sucks going up and down stairs, especially when you have gigantic feet. So yeah, it just wasn't feasible. So we had to forego the parade this year. We did still have the fursuit photo, and I got down there, and it took like 5 minutes. Last year, I swear, it took like 30 or something insane. But there's so many suits. Oh my gosh, just GFM is exploding in terms of like, that's not a positive, or that's not a negative. Not population, attendees. The attendee numbers are just exploding. So there's so many suitors. It's a beautiful thing to see. And I got some pictures of that. I am at the moment trying to get the official professional picture that was taken. My friends did take pictures, but they are on the ground level, so they can only get certain angles. The photographer was actually up on a very, very high ladder, so they could get everyone. I'm going to see if I can find that picture and put it here somewhere. But yeah, it didn't take that long, though. Up until that point, I've been on my feet most of the day, and my feet were screaming, and I did wear my feet paws for the picture, and these aren't uncomfortable. I'm not, I'm sitting right now, so I'm not really on my feet, as it were. But even when I'm kind of walking around, these are fairly comfortable feet paws, but there's zero support, and I have plantar fasciitis and flat feet, like really flat, wide feet, and when I don't have support, that makes my feet very sad. So at one point, the photographer wanted to take a panoramic, so they just, yeah, everyone stay still. My feet were on fire. It's like, dude, please, I'm going to lose my feet. Just hurry up. I do appreciate, I think it was one of the team members who started like the SpongeBob chant, that, who lives in the pineapple under the sea, that thing. Just to distract people, distract our little tiny furry brains, because we had to stand so still. And so you said a bunch of like first just yelling out this SpongeBob SquarePants theme just to get everybody focused. I started to. I do not like SpongeBob at all, but even I know that theme. I started to participate, and then I realized, oh wait, he wants us to stay still, and as you can see, my mouth moves when my my fursuit mouth moves when my mouth moves most of the time. It's like I can't move because it will move my face. But it was a lot of fun. Great picture. I've seen it. I just forgot to grab the copy of it. So let's see if I can get that. And after that, my friends did head out. Well, one of them did. I'm sorry. The Jill Dancer and Pink Sands did head out right after the photo. I believe K-chan headed out after the photo as well. And though they both handled for me, I didn't stay and take pictures. So again, virtually all the pictures you see are going to be actual me with suitors because I just did not have time to suit. I could have stayed down there and taken pictures with suitors. My feet were killing me. I could not, and I really need to get back on duty. So they went ahead and helped me, brushed me and got me situated when we went down there and helped me de-suit when we came back up. But Kei-chan went ahead and left. I think she was going to a movie, and Sailor Texas was interested in the fursuit handling panel. So, she went ahead and attended that. I just went back on duty, and so at that point, it was probably around like 5-ish, something like that. I did a lot more roaming. So, I mentioned there were 3 things I wanted to do today, or that day, that Saturday. One was the fursuit photo, one was a charity auction, and the last was a super sponsored dinner. And that's what I did. After the photo, which was probably over around, 4:30-ish, 4:40, I went back up, de-suited. I didn't really get all that stinky and gross, so I didn't bother showering. Don't be me. Again, I showered once a day. Just, if you are a suitor, you really should shower after you de-suit. In my particular case, I didn't because, I'm still working. I wasn't in that suit for very long either. But in truth, I probably should have showered. I should have allowed the extra time to shower. And, my lead would have been fine with that. They really would have. I just didn't want to. But I did a little bit of roaming from about 5 to 6. And the 6 was a super sponsor dinner. I think last year there were like sub sandwiches and Chinese. They try to pick 2 like wildly different things. So hopefully everybody's satisfied with something. This year it was barbecue and Chinese. It was all really, really good. And I ate way too much, but that's okay. It's kind of to make up for the fact that I didn't really eat much during the day. I actually didn't have my protein shake on Saturday or Sunday for that matter, so I'm not even following my own rules. God. It was a great dinner, and I'm sorry, Mattsy-kun was the guest of honor. She is a black queer furry who has been a member of GFM for a while. She also got one of her cats from the charity, which would be St. Louis Pet Rescue. I can't believe I forgot to mention them up until this point because I actually been working closely with them throughout the weekend. We kind of let them store their stuff in the security room. I had to grab some extra tables and things for them at one point. I was able to chat with some lady. They had some of the cats they keep on on site, so they kind of say hi to the kitties. They were a really great charity. You could tell these women just were having a blast the whole weekend, and it was really nice working with them. And it was a kind of a personal thing for Mattsy since she got one of her cats from them. So that's kind of partially why they were chosen as the charity of choice. Just something to go with the guest of honor. But it was really, really great. They were a really great charity, and Mattsy was in the super sponsored dinner. There were some times where I do go to the super sponsored dinner, but I don't know who the sponsor is, or I don't know who the guest of honor is. Like the year they had Talenchi, I know Talenchi very well. There is something I will show you from Talenchi in the next video. And with Ferret Studios, I love their stuff. I cannot remember what you can see behind me in this situation, in this position where I'm at. But there are quite a few Ferret Studios, as well as Talenchi art, on my walls. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of both of those. Those 2 I knew. And so those two I was happy that to meet at the super sponsored dinner. And some other years I was like, I don't know you. I just don't know you. I didn't say that to the person, obviously, but there's some I don't know them. But after the sponsor dinner, which was from 6 to 7, and we had to get booted out because there was another group. There was like another panel at 7. I, whew, I think this was kind of the gauntlet after this. All my friends are gone at this point. I'm just working. I believe I did more roaming from 7 to 8, and then 8 was the real gauntlet. So I was door checking the rest of the night. The first panel was the Church of Garth, which is people who really, really like Garfield. That's all I really have to say about that one. There was someone who went in and he came back out and he's like, okay, that's too much for me. And he's like, you know what they're doing in there? I was like, I have no idea, dude. I have no clue. And he showed me like this picture, like a drawn picture of Garfield, except with like the handsome Squidward face. Again, I don't like SpongeBob, but I do know that face. And like with boobs. So that's that. People who just really like Garfield, it's fine. That's what you like. So I adored for that, and then immediately after that, I believe I think it was a therapy panel, like finding the right therapist. These were, by the way, 18 plus panels. We try to door check at every panel and every room that corresponds to the convention, but we absolutely have to have door checkers at 18 plus panels, as well as under 18 panels. That's something I haven't really seen before at conventions, but there were a few panels that were just kind of like meet and greets for, minor furries and obviously their parent or guardian. But in those panels, we do not want anyone over 18, unless you obviously are accompanying a child. So those are some really important times where we absolutely need people to make sure the right people are in and the wrong people are out. So the Church of Garth and the therapist panel were both 18. Oh no, I'm sorry. The therapist panel was next day. Was I think Sunday. The other panel was the Lizard Lex panel. That's what it was. So Church of Garth and Lizard Lex. I'm really sorry. I tried memorizing my schedule that I wrote down. I clearly did not do a very good job. But Lizard Lex. Oh yeah, I remember that now because I embarrassed the heck out of myself. So that took place after, I think, the drunk PC building panel, which I tend to avoid. I'm weird about drunkenness and drunk people. They'd still scare me, so I just stay out of those situations. I think Pepper Coyote was in that panel, and he had to, like, perform with Lex in the next panel. Good luck with that, Pepper. But it was kind of Pepper and Lex, like, telling stories and playing some music and things like that. And I went ahead to, through the room. There were some people that were staying for both panels, so I just went to go check badges. And I was like, you here for, the Lizard Lex panel? Can I see your badge? And I asked this person, are you here for the Lizard Lex panel? And he responds with, I am Lex. And I was like, oh, okay. And he just starts laughing. I was like, I'm gonna go over there. Hey, you! Do you have your badge? Just trying to, clumsily walk my way out of there. Because I'd never heard of Lex before. I didn't know who he was. I felt awful, but he just laughed. He just found it funny. But after the Lizard Lex panel, I had a 30-minute break where there wasn't anything except the dance down south. Downstairs, and there were people covering the dance already, so I was fine. They had people covering the door, and there was security walking around in the dance to make sure no one does anything stupid. So I was kind of married to the first, technically, floor, whatever, the main floor that night, just doing door checks. And after Lizard Lex, again, I had that half-hour break where I just kind of roamed a little bit, especially downstairs, because that's where the dance is happening. And that's where, at this point, it's late, it's 10 p.m. Those who are old enough are maybe, like, imbibing in some alcohol and whatnot. People can get stupid. So, thankfully, there are, no issues or anything like that. But it's nice to have security walking around and make sure people don't do anything stupid. At 10:30, this was it was the finish line, but also the longest haul. It's karaoke, and I believe I sat at that door last year. Heard some very interesting singing. Some were really good, and some were very interesting. That was 10:30 to 1. That was a very, very long panel, I guess. But, I enjoyed people seemed to have fun. There was a lot of people who wanted to sing. I don't think they were going to get to everyone because it's even at 2.5 hours, there's a lot of people that wanted to sing. But I'm really happy that they all had fun. And then I went home and died. Or rather, I went to my room and I died. It was, again, 1 a.m. is when I got off. So I probably went to bed like 2. And I had to get up at 7 again because I had to get down there at 8. So, Sunday. It's the opposite of Saturday. So there aren't a lot of people. Not many people are going to come. Well, there's some people that do come on Sundays. Though, not many. And it's a lot more laid back. So, I appreciated that. It's also the time of the fursuit games, and this is where I have my other set of bad news. I did not record the fursuit games. I actually wasn't a part of the fursuit games this year. They started at 11 and they went till 12:30. I had to check out at noon. I was able to get them to move my checkout from 11 to noon, but they would not move it past that. So, I know my lead was saying, "Oh, you could go for a little bit," but I was like, "But then I have to de-suit and I have to pack up, and it's too much." So, I unfortunately do not have that. I think I have a couple pictures of them playing Simon Says, so I will put those up. But I didn't really get to see most of it because I had to spend much of the time checking out. So I checked out and got all the stuff in my car, and I think after that, I more roaming, roaming through the vendor hall, and chatting with people here and there, not standing for like 2 hours and talking to somebody, but chatting, with some people I'd met and meeting new people, and hey, how are you doing? I'd pop my head into the headless lounge, just hey, you guys doing okay? Anybody need anything? Cool, okay, I'm gonna get out. So that was a lot of Sunday, and I think Citrine had a concert. I didn't really know who Citrine was, but I'd seen the name before. And I think I sat at a door at one point, or no, I think it was Friday where I was kind of roaming around, and one thing I would do was go into some of the panels, just come in, stay in the back, look around, stay for a few minutes, and come back out. I did that with Alkali's LARPing panel on Saturday. I completely forgot to mention that, and I wish I had requested security for that because Alcohol is just talking about, what LARPing is and what it entails and what it doesn't entail and the fact that everybody can do it. It sounded really interesting, and I really wanted to stay and just listen to his panel, but I didn't tell anyone I was going to do that. I was supposed to be roaming right now. So, they would listen for a few minutes, but if Alkali comes back and he does that panel again, I will definitely, do security for that one because I'd like to hear more about it. I don't know if LARPing is going to happen because I'm in Springfield, Illinois, and this isn't the best town. There isn't a lot to do in this town. It might have a LARPing group. I have no idea. I really don't. Things can surprise you. Tomorrow I'm going to an Easter egg hunt with apparently a furry group in Bloomington. My friend Pink Sands invited me and Jello Dancer for that. I didn't know Bloomington had furries, but apparently they do. So there might be a LARPing group here in Springfield. I have no idea. But it sounded really interesting, and it feels basically a step up from D&D. With D&D, I'm acting, I'm giving my characters a goofy voice, I'm getting in their head, and I'm trying to do what they would do, but I'm not actually acting anything out. I might gesture like this because I'm a person that talks with my thoughts. That's just what I do. But I'm not getting up and when we're in combat, I don't actually try to slay something because I will knock things over on the table and people will not be happy. So, but LARPing, you're acting everything. You're actually taking, you're dressed up and you've got your weapon and you're doing like the play fighting like the park or whatever. So maybe I can do that. I have no idea. I don't know if Springfield or a surrounding city or town has that, but that's something I could look up. This sounded interesting. So, sorry, back to Sunday. Not much to say about Sunday. That's kind of it. It was a lot of roaming. It was, I found an artist that I will talk about in the next video who does really cool, like felt, like not badges, but like little felt pins and whatnot. So I did a little bit of that, kind of roaming, talking to different artists, kind of shopping-ish at the same time. Again, there's something that I talked about the book with Talenchi. I will actually show that to you in the next video because I have it now. I'm actually able to pay for it and collect it. And there were a couple other things I bought and one thing I commissioned. But Sunday is just a lot of roaming around and getting out, checking out the hotel and making sure things aren't doing stupid stuff or people aren't doing dumb things. So it's Sunday and everyone's tired. They don't have the energy to do dumb things anymore. Wasn't much else. I think again, Citrine had another concert. Really, really good singer, by the way. Citrine's a blind furry who also often does a panel called The Blind Side, which is, I believe, they are giving their, I don't know if it counts the right word, but just letting people know what it's like to be blind, and to navigate through the world when you cannot see. So, but Citrine is also a very good singer and performer, and so I got to hear them for the first time because I'd seen them on the schedules, but I didn't know who they were, so now I do. But we'll go over to the closing ceremonies, which always fun and sad at the same time because the con's ending. That's kind of the last. I guess technically it's not the last part of the con. The Dead Dog Dance is the last part of the con, but it's kind of the last official, wrap up, all of that. And the charity St. Louis Pet Rescue were there. The four ladies that had been here most of the weekend. And we were able to announce that we had raised $18,000 for them, for their charity, and of course they all cried because that's what every charity does at the closing ceremonies, regardless of what convention it is. Because I mentioned this with PVCF and with Midwest Fur Fest, but just think about that. In 3 days, your organization just raised $18,000. That's mind-boggling. Or for Midwest Fur Fest over the weekend, it was 185 or 180 something thousand. For PBCF, it was 100,000, and it's over 3 days. And it's kind of unreal for a lot of charities. And it's just overwhelming that they're just around so many wholesome people and so many really nice, supportive people and people that really care about their charities. And it's just really emotional. So we got to make that announcement. And when it comes to attendance, I believe there are about 970 registered attendees, so very, very close to 1,000. I think last year was 740, so we gained quite a bit of people. And the year before that, it was 350. Last year, doubled. It literally doubled the amount of people. So GFM is, I keep calling it a tiny con when I describe it to people. So I don't know if I can do that much anymore. I don't know, it's not like huge, it's not going to be, Midwest Fur Fest. But I think I can safely call it a small con now, because it's growing very rapidly, which is great. We love seeing that. We love seeing new people get into the fandom. We love seeing new people get into, attending our convention and other conventions. I was not trying to knock other conventions. It surprised the heck out of us that we got so many people. Well, even during the planning stages, we knew TFF, same weekend, or Texas Furry Fiesta, if you do not know. That's a big convention. It's, in frickin' Texas. But, and we're in Missouri. Well, they're in Missouri. I'm in Illinois, but you know what I mean. GFM is in Missouri. So that's a flight. That you will just, not even, it's a flight. You're probably going to fly to that one. But it's bigger. We expected to lose people. There were some team members I'm not going to say lost, but they couldn't attend GFM because they were at TFF. But we still grew. Vernal Equinox in Canada somewhere, not sure where. Same weekend. We're competing against two much bigger cons, and we still gained attendees. It was great. It was awesome. We had our, volunteer of the con. I mentioned the twins earlier. Hands down, best volunteers of this year. That was an honor that was given to me last year, and just they absolutely earned it because they worked so many hours. They're freaking volunteers. They don't need to work a ton of hours, but they above and beyond. So hearty congratulations to them. And another big announcement. I mentioned Scooby before with the charity auction. He was the con chair. They are switching over to Hoops now. I don't think Scooby-Doo's actually going anywhere, but he's just not going to be Concher anymore. But Hoops is going to be the new Concher, so that's going to be awesome. I believe he was also in charge of like the volunteers this year. So I feel like there's another thing I'm missing. There is no the murder mystery, because I brought that up a little bit earlier because I forgot about it, and it was during this closing ceremony where I remember. Oh yeah, that was happening. That's like the point of the con this year. That is the theme. Like I completely forgot about. But they did talk about who did it and all of that, and I didn't. I'm not trying to participate, so I don't know anyone. I guess the different characters on the different badges. So there were badges for team members. There were badges for the regular adult attendee, minors, minor badges. Those who have to be accompanied with an adult. Their dealer badges and all of that. So they all had different like animals on them. I guess those were the animals that maybe killed Clyde. I don't remember who killed Clyde. I feel like it was a peacock. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't remember. But from the response in the audience, there were clearly a lot of people that were following that thing. They were looking for the clues and they're trying to figure out who did it. It sounds like the majority of them were wrong, but that's okay. We're happy that they participated. Because I forgot who, there were 3 people that were in charge of that story. It was 3 people of 3 team members that wrote that story. People really enjoyed it, and that's really great. So, it was a great year all around. And that closing ceremony just emphasized how awesome this year was and how well behaved our attendees were. There weren't major insane issues or anything like that. Things went really smoothly, and that's also great. So after the closing ceremony, a lot of people actually stayed to help us put up chairs because that main room is also for the dead dog dance. So now we need the chairs to not be there so people can dance the night away. Well, dance for 2 hours, I guess. And that was about it for the weekend. I kind of went to ConOps and we worked on a few things there. And that time I did take off to get dinner because I hadn't eaten yet. I went to, I believe it was Jose Cortez, something like that, like a nearby Mexican restaurant. The food was pretty good. I think I got 3 enchiladas. You'll see them here or here. The service wasn't great. It took quite a while to be, served. Wasn't happy about that, but the food was pretty decent. Though it didn't feel as filling as I thought it would. It was actually kind of surprising, to be perfectly honest. But after that, I kind of waited for the dead dog. I did go down there and look at it. And I can't dance. I don't like dancing. I feel stupid when I do it, and I do not like loud music at all. It's not my thing. I think I have gone to a GFM dance one year. It was covered probably in an earlier video. Though I went like long after, the thing was jumping, so there were like 5 people when I got there, or whatever year that was. That wouldn't have been the case this year. The dance was just full, like the entire time. So, maybe I will go in the future if I have time, and if I'm not, if I'm taking a break from, working. But, I don't know. People have fun, though. I love the fact that people enjoy it. I think the last major dance I went to was actually ASEN years ago with some of my college friends, and that was no joke, a 5-hour wait to get in the dance. Just to get in. I'm not exaggerating at all. Yeah, that's not fun for me. And with, something like GFA, it's not going to be that. It most certainly isn't going to be that. It's not going to be like that at MFF, but it's just not my thing. But I do enjoy seeing other people have fun. And so they were going to finish setup. Well, they did more setup after the dance and take, AV stuff down and all of that. And I did help with all of that, but when it comes to Monday, they were going to start packing things up after they checked out, which is at 11. I just had my time extended. And I actually stayed the night at a friend's house Sunday night because I had a doctor's appointment in Fairview Heights the next day. So rather get another hotel room, which would have been another $130 a night, or, drive home here and then drive back down Monday for my appointment, which is stupid. I just stayed with a friend of mine. But the appointment was at 11:45, and again, the this time between her house and Fairview is about 40-45 minutes. So 11 would have been the time I would have to leave the area to get to my appointment on time. So I just said my goodbyes Sunday night and hung out at my friend's place, had my doctor's appointment the next day. I did have a lovely breakfast at a place called the Shack Monday morning, which I probably shouldn't have eaten before I went to the doctor because the doctor weighs me. So those 2 extra pounds were definitely pancakes. I That's it. That wasn't me. That was pancakes and syrup, and I think I had some eggs in there. So yeah, I dispute the 2 pounds that my doctor said I gained. But anyway, it was a really good breakfast though. I was very happy with that, and a really good service there. And then I came home and died. I died completely. And the entire weekend I had to write down my hours and all of that, and I ended up working about 42 hours, give or take maybe an hour, and that's insanity. That's absolutely crazy. For reference, I work for the state of Illinois. My regular work week is 37 and a half hours. So the state of Illinois is really weird. It depends on your job. Some work 40, some work 37 and a half. But my point being, even if I was a 40-hour a week employee, I still work more time at GFM in 3 days than I do at work over 5 days. Absolutely crazy. And that's why I said at the beginning, sleep is important. Sleep is very important. Having said that, I cannot wait to do it again. I really can't. I had a blast this year. I met so many new people. Some were, team members, some were volunteers, and some were just regular attendees. But I really enjoyed meeting people and talking to people. I felt like I was making a difference as a security team, just trying to keep everyone safe. I enjoyed having that responsibility. I enjoyed, being able to help attendees, whether it was figuring out where things were or, what times were. Or, there's some families that come up to me, okay, what's going on right now? What can we attend? I can tell, oh, well, there's, a dance competition you can check out. The dealer's den is still open. There's, this panel or that panel. Obviously, wouldn't tell them about 18 plus panels because they can't go in there. But, I really enjoyed every bit of it. And, again, I did learn some things. The week before, I need to adhere to my sleep schedule, like the one here while I'm still in Springfield. Go to bed at 11, and wake up at a decent. Well, I'm working during most of the week, so my work day starts at 8. So, actually, going down at 8 every morning wasn't a major deal because that's what I do for work. But I definitely did keep to my sleep schedule the week before because depending on what I'm working, I will probably have reduced sleep during the convention. I will also invest in some vitamin C because when I came back, I got hit with con crud. And I've mentioned that to people, and virtually no one I've talked to knows what con crud is unless you go to conventions. If you don't know what it is, it's just kind of like the weird disease you can possibly get after a convention. It's not like an inevitable thing, it's just the fact that, and it's any convention, this is not furry specific. I've gotten con crud after anime conventions too. But it's just there are a lot of people in a concentrated area over a weekend. Not everyone practices the best hygiene. And furthermore, there are going to be some people that are sick. Whether they know it or they don't. Some people could be asymptomatic and they do not know that they're sick. Other people absolutely know they have the flu or whatever it is. And they're like, darn it, I saved up. I took time off. I'm going to this convention. It's going to happen. So, whatever the circumstance is, there's going to be some sickness around and there's a chance you may catch something. Unfortunately, I did. I know another team member did. So that kind of threw my week when I came back. I had taken off that Monday and Tuesday anyway. Monday because of my doctor's appointment, and Tuesday to try to catch up, but not a lot of catching up happened because I was sick. And because I didn't know what I had, I actually took off Wednesday to get tested to make sure I didn't have COVID or the flu or anything contagious, which thankfully I did not. It's just a random weird virus I guess I have. But yeah, that happened. So I did work Thursday, Friday. I worked from home those days. So even when I wasn't feeling great, I could still work, and I'm not around anybody else. But yeah, that was Gateway Furmeet 2024. I almost said 2016, and I don't know why, but it was a blast. This was honestly, despite working so much and my feet falling off multiple times, this was easily the best GFM I've ever had. It really was. And I'm not lying or exaggerating. I really can't wait to do it all over again next year. No idea what the theme is, but yeah, I'm ready for it. And this was also a learning experience. What to do, what not to do. Probably take a few more breaks like they want me to. Have a better sleep schedule the week before. We need to do a hard cutoff if we play D&D the night before so I can get some sleep. And I think I'm going to try to treat myself to a few more panels next year. Obviously, I'm not going to just be all panels and work like 6 hours over the weekend. No, that's not going to work. But I think I will try to afford myself a few more panels to like actually attend, or at the very least, maybe security for, so I can kind of hear while I'm looking around and just making sure things are okay. So, and that, just so you know, it's not like we had a limit. You can pick 2 things and that's it. The rest of the time, it's nothing like that. It is not that rigid. This was just a me thing. I didn't know how many hours I was supposed to work as a team member, and I actually worked way more than I needed to, but that's fine. I like doing that. I think I will just pull back a little bit next year. So, thank you so much for thank you for listening to my 7-hour long GFM video, because I'm pretty sure that's how long it is at this point. I'm surprised. I didn't think I would have enough content to make a video, but I feel like I have. And obviously the next video will be the swag. Much of that swag will be free, and I'll explain that in the next video. I got some weird swag. I got some very weird swag. Okay, so, you guys know the drill. If you like what I do, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Next week, the second half of April, or rather the back half of April, just told you it is going to be GFM swag, be it paid or free, which 95% of it is going to be free. Stuff that I just got, because whatever. But until next time, it is hot. I went to the gym this morning. I didn't bother showering because I knew I was going to do this. And I have some friends coming over to record our My Little Pony podcast. So I need to get out of this D-suit, shower, and then get ready for that. So until next time, I guess I will see you in the end of April. So goodbye.